Good morning. Well, it's morning for me, but by the time I get this uploaded, likely won't be for you. Anyways, I would just like to say that it's been a while since I've put a video out. This holiday season has been so hectic for me, so I apologize. I had meant to keep doing the forecast through the holiday season, but I kept not having time for it. So I apologize for that, but here's going to be your forecast. So, starting out today on Sunday, we're looking at kind of a troughing pattern right here. So, I think you've probably noticed some of the effects, like, for example, this perpetual fog that just is here forever, which isn't really a function of the trough, but just kind of associated with it a little bit, which I'll explain in a second. So, as the week progresses, we kind of move out of that trough. I'd say like late Monday, as that pushes off to the northeast. And then notice just very quiet, like maybe just ever slight circulation right here, which may cause snow to come along there, but just overall for us up here, just very quiet overall. You do see some elevated winds there, but you'll notice it just doesn't amount to much. It could maybe cause like flurries for northern Minnesota, but overall just nothing. And this is on Thursday, just really quiet. And if you draw your diagram, of course, we typically associate this area with converging air. So yeah, just very, very quiet synoptic pattern overall. So then even into Sunday, you see a little bit more of a short wave, but you'll notice that it's a more of a ridging short wave, so that's likely not going to bring any noticeable precipitation. We do get this high closed high to develop towards Sunday, and that could bring some colder air perhaps. But notice that it really just doesn't last very long either. So just overall, just very quiet. That's kind of what the maps are looking at. Just a very quiet week. We can confirm this with simulated reflectivity. So you'll notice that that system associated with that little bit of troughing pattern right there comes through maybe Monday, but just nowhere near us. That could bring some snow, but it likely will not be very much. Just throughout the week, just very, very quiet, very quiet. And then there is this ever so broad snow pattern associated with that ridging shortwave, and that's just because of the elevated vorticity with that. But overall, not very heavy snow is, and it tracks southward, of course, but just not, just very quiet, very quiet. Like maybe southern Minnesota gets a bunch of snow, and that'll be towards the end of the week there on Sunday. As for snow accumulation, really nothing. Like granted, this is a simulation, but yeah, I kind of agree with this. I think it's going to be a tight snow band coming across here associated with that one shortwave ridge moving through, but I think that's probably it. If we look at our ensemble members, we can really see it really has it tracking south most of the time. Like here, it goes a little bit more north and we get a couple inches. Here, it's a bit more north, but overall, the general pattern suggests that it is going to go south. So I'm just expecting overall a very quiet week in terms of snowfall. Temperatures a little bit more interesting. So you'll notice that as the days progress, we have just ever so slight cold air advection to the north here, and that's gonna gradually bring down our temperatures throughout the entire week. So we start out in the 30s, and then just as the days go on, like you get up to maybe mid 30s, upper 30s, even tomorrow. But as the days go on, you'll notice that this Arctic air protrusion goes deeper and deeper into Minnesota. And that's just associated with this moving out of the trough axes. You'll notice that the wind shifts towards more of a northerly flow as it moves through, and that's just going to bring down the temperatures. But there's not really a cold front associated with that, so there's not going to be any dramatic swing, just a gradual cooling down of temperatures. Yeah, so Thursday maybe getting down to 1-0 for a low. And Friday, so just ever gradually just getting colder and colder throughout the week. Then by Sunday, an Arctic high does develop over North Dakota, but you'll likely be in the single digits for most of Minnesota, so I won't worry too much about that. One thing that will be changing as this trough moves through is the available moisture. So starting out, very high low-level moisture in our area, which you can tell by the fog. But notice that this kind of about Monday night, you notice this very strong, this very dry air mass move its way through, associated with that more Arctic flow around here. That's actually going to really dry things out, and that's likely going to be one of the contributing factors that's going to eliminate this perpetual fog we've been dealing with. Yeah, just throughout the week, just getting progressively drier and drier, so expect very dry air mass to move through. Now, we look at the soundings. This is where things get interesting. So I think this is about right now. So we have very pronounced surface inversion, and with that surface inversion, very strong low-level moisture. And so because of this, that essentially prevents the mixing of the air. So the air is allowed to condensate towards the surface as it's cooled by just the ground, because the ground is actually much colder than the air aloft right now. And so that's going to cool all of the air coming in contact with the ground, which is going to cause it to condensate, giving us all of that fog. So right now you have the temperature difference between the ground and the air is very strong. But as the week goes through, so here's another example again, surface inversion, that's going to prevent your mixing with that fog. And then just very warm air temperatures overall, much warmer than the ground, and that's going to contribute to the fog. And so this is still today, and then here's kind of where things start to break up. So this is going to be very late Monday. So it's in UTC, so it says Tuesday, but for us it's really Monday, late Monday. And you'll notice that the air cools down drastically. And as this air cools down, you're not going to have a condensating effect due to the ground cooling it down. So now you'll even notice that you have this inversion has kind of moved upwards, and that's because this ground is now actually warming the air towards the surface. So now it's kind of eliminating that inversion towards the surface, which is going to eliminate that fog. So you can expect fog today and tomorrow. However, partway through tomorrow, as Arctic air builds in, that fog's going to go away. Now, just a quick look at temperatures. So this is going to be for Rose City, Minnesota. So today, high of 37 degrees and a low of only 27. So fog's likely going to persist all through today. And tomorrow, a high of like 34, low of like 24. And as these temperatures cool on the backside, that's when you're going to start to see fog start to lift. But otherwise, there's still likely going to be some fog around for people Monday evening. But overall, it should be done by Tuesday morning, I would think, just because it's cooling down so rapidly. Well, not rapidly, but it's cooling down. And so Tuesday, you're only going to have a high of 18 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's kind of where you're going to stay for the rest of the week. Wednesday, only a high of 12 for Rose City. And then Thursday, only getting up to a high of 11. And then Friday, a little bit colder with only a high of 7. But generally, it's just very consistent weather patterns. And then Saturday, high of 7, and then finishing off Sunday with a high of probably 11. And you'll notice with this, just very quiet, not seeing any precipitation. It's just a very quiet weather pattern. Now, there's a possibility for a little bit of snow beginning of next week, but that'll probably miss us. So here's an interesting look into a possibility for some fog on Wednesday, but I wonder if that's real. That might not be. And here, beginning Monday night too, this is also going to contribute to that lifting of that fog. As these higher winds towards the surface is going to mix the air a lot more, which is really going to dampen the fog. And yeah, so I wonder, this wind's likely too strong for that. There may be misting, I suppose, but not really any fog. So yeah, throughout the week, fairly windy. Like, winds are going to it's going to be gusting in the 20s all throughout the week, and even into 30s towards the end. So even though these temperatures are not super cold, the feels like temperature is definitely going to be in the negatives throughout the rest of the week. So a bit colder, but overall it's not too bad. And yeah, here's a good example of what that wind shear looks like. So notice into today and tomorrow. So this is your planetary boundary layer, which is the layer that shows the wind differences between the inversion layer and the layer aloft. And this is a good proxy for whether you're going to be getting any mixing or whatnot, and basically is a good indicator for fog. So you'll notice throughout Monday that wind starts to rapidly increase, which is going to cause a lot of mixing in that layer. And so yeah, that's gonna be your Rose City forecast. So again, just kind of cold starting Tuesday through Sunday, but just fairly quiet weather pattern, to be honest. Like, that, besides the little bit of cold and starting out the week with that fog on Sunday, Monday, it's gonna be a decent week for the winter. So I guess enjoy it, because the next week might be a little bit more chaotic with weather. So this is going to be for Morris, and very similar. High of 40 today, high of 35 degrees tomorrow. So again, associated with these warmer temperatures towards the ground, you're going to be seeing that fog towards the surface. So just be careful tonight if you're driving anywhere. Just be mindful of that. Then temperatures are going to drop down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit tomorrow, with kind of a low of probably like 10. And then Wednesday, climbing back up to 16 degrees Fahrenheit, but then dropping down to probably around 8 degrees Fahrenheit. So getting a bit colder. Thursday, high of 13, low of probably around 5, I would say. And then Friday, getting up to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit, falling down to maybe about 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Saturday, it's very similar, high of 5, getting down. It's remaining mostly stagnant throughout the day in terms of temperatures, but overall just cold but fairly stagnant conditions, and maybe getting up to about 13 degrees Fahrenheit on Sunday, and then dropping down to 10. So just overall fairly quiet weather pattern for Morris as well. I don't expect, especially the more south you go, likely less precipitation. So I would not really maybe a couple flurries, but other than that, just not really anything there. So the most eventful thing's gonna be that fog today and tomorrow. But once that lifts, I think just not really hazardous weather conditions. I mean, it'll be windy throughout the week. Beginning Monday evening, it'll be windy throughout the week, but as long as you dress warm, it should be fine. Yeah, so again, I'd say TLDR for Morris is really warm today and tomorrow, with extensive fog throughout the region. Monday, as winds increase and temperatures decrease, you can expect that fog layer to lift and dissipate. And then just a gradual falling of temperatures between Tuesday and Sunday. So just fairly cold temperatures towards the end, with highs in the single digits, but overall just just a quiet week. Let's just enjoy this week because there's no storms, there's nothing, there's no. It's just very quiet week. So that's going to be your forecast for this week. Again, I apologize for my lack of forecast for the past 2 weeks, but I hope this helps to rectify that. And this is, of course, Quentin Hafner signing off on another forecast. Thank you for listening.